Well, it's all about you and what what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve in this really interesting, I think, untapped space. So
Yeah.
for anyone who's watching and listening in, House of Lords is, I guess, your brainchild. We could call it that, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes.
So it merges, my understanding, it merges reality TV, combat sports, and a real interactive element. How did that come about?
So it actually, yeah. So the idea is to combine the three fastest and most proliferate entertainment platforms on the planet, which are streaming content,
Mhm.
gamification, gaming, and betting. So that came about because when I moved to Florida about 10 years ago now, I opened up an MMA promotion like the UFC.
Yeah.
And we did very well with that. But the end game was in pro MMA is just television, right? To make any real money. So
Yeah.
we had acquired some TV deals on 110 million homes through some off times networks and things like that. But our big deal was with Spike, which unfortunately we pretty much got shut down by Viacom overnight, from what I understand the details. But we lost the deal before we closed the deal, and at that
Oh,
time, yeah. So we had the whole run. We did a lot of great things. A lot of records, and we got first company to partner with the city council, and we went
oh, wow.
public with the alliance. They did a roll up. We were going to go on the Nasdaq. All these crazy things, but at the end of the day, we didn't get the TV deal. So by the time I got out to revamp that, TV wasn't buying MMA anymore. So
Mm.
what I learned though from the entire run of building something designed for television acquisition, was this TV market, and the streaming
Mm.
market is incredibly lucrative. Um, and it's basically taken the world of television and content, and it's just the wild west. I mean, there's so many ways. I mean, the phrase is content is king, right?
Yeah.
So if you can build something or have some sort of good content, and you gear it up for like a maximum demographic, you're very viable. So
Yeah.
the idea was to take that streaming content. I knew I wanted to be in combat, but TV's not buying MMA anymore. And all the MMA promotions out there and everything that's going on, whether it's boxing, MMA, jujitsu, it all boils down to two guys in a cage or a ring that are fighting, right? So
Yeah.
you're only going to get really that fight demographic. I don't care like what your halftime show is,
Yeah.
what celebrity guests you have. I know because I've done it all. Like
Yeah.
the people that aren't MMA fans aren't going to go or get tied into it. So in the world of television, like I said, it's kind of a small demographic, and so the idea was to leave the sporting side of it and bring back like the entertainment side of it,
Mm.
like the days of the gladiators. And
Yeah.
coming from a Greek family, just always been intrigued in that the Roman gladiator
Yeah.
lifestyle, and it was a huge form of entertainment for centuries. So um, I wanted to come back into that. In order to do that, I had to leave the sporting side of it, so I was no longer considered a sporting franchise.
Mm.
Um, that way, I could manipulate the rule sets and kind of make it more like it. So the idea is to get rid of the weight classes because some of the early excitement of the UFC was watching the little guy beat up the big
Yeah.
guy. And then the other
Definitely.
thing I wanted to do, yeah. So and the other thing I wanted to do is we took a differentiator out of American Idol, which was involving the public to interact with the show and the outcome.
Yeah.
So in my show, when the gladiators compete, if they don't win by knockout or submission, there are no judges. The public votes on the app, real time, like
Wow.
American Idol. So
Love that.
yeah, a lot of fun. You get the public involved. It also brings a lot of unexpected twists and turns into the game
Mm.
because it becomes a little bit of a popularity contest at that point, right? I mean, someone could win unanimously, but everybody votes for the other guy. So
Yeah.
you're going to have some upsets, but you put that on a betting platform, you make it a game, and you know, you tie in the gaming side of it, you embed it with tech, um, and we really built the entire show's background off of what history has told us has been some of the most successful shows in the differentiators: Game of
Yeah.
Thrones, Mad Max, Hunger Games, American Ninja Warrior back in the day.
Yeah.
But our goal is to meet or supersede, but at least meet the demographic of the WWE. For example, from a real fighter's perspective and throwing real fights, like we don't like it because it's all fake. It's garbage.
Yeah.
But it's not garbage. I shouldn't say that. It's terrible. But
I love
it's
the costumes, I have to say. Even though
okay. So,
I'm a combat sports fan, I love the costumes.
but
They're
that's what
always
it's about,
phenomenal.
right? It's about production. It's about
Yeah,
drama. It's about all of that that ties in that demographic that's like 8 to 80, whatever it is,
yeah,
right? I mean, it's been around for 30 years and it's still closing out 15,000 seat
yeah,
stadiums. It's insane. So, in order to do that, we bring in the production value of Game of Thrones. We bring in the raw ethnicity and feel of like Mad Max, and
mhm,
we build an arena in Miami. We want to launch here in Miami just because Miami's booming right now, and
yeah,
it fits the lifestyle of what we're doing. So we're building an arena out of shipping containers, which will look like a Mad Max kind of a New Age Thunderdome, so to say.
that's awesome.
And yeah, and thank you. Within that, they'll have four lords. The lords are the players of the game. Each
Yeah,
lord will be a predominant figure or mogul of some sort, and they are playing a live game. And if they don't, the lords will select four gladiators that will compete on their behalf throughout the season.
mhm,
So basically, those four athletes, those four fighters, um, they'll be navigated through the system on matchups. So
yeah,
essentially, if it's one lord's turn or a team facing off against another, I can offer up, I want my gladiator number two to fight your gladiator number three. You can either accept that challenge or you can go, play a card from the high priestess, which could be a handicap
yeah,
or an advancement. So again, it is a live game, and there's four people
wow,
playing the game. We dress it up with the backstories,
yeah,
the costume design, special effects, makeup, for example. This way, we don't have to really go, at initial stages of launching, we don't have to go after the crazy high end celebrities from the beginning because if you think about like Game of Thrones, for example, um, do you watch Game of Thrones?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you know what a White Walker is, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, do you know who the actor is?
I could not tell you.
Nobody's ever answered that question in 4 years. So the point is this: he's
Yeah.
badass, right? Everybody knows what a White
Oh,
Walker is because
100%. Yeah,
he's got white and blue eyes and whatever. So what you can create a star
yeah,
from nobody with special effects, makeup, and costume design.
mhm,
So we especially living here in Miami, we don't want just beautiful people, beautiful women that are wearing,
yeah,
gowns and bathing suits. We see that all day long. We want that next level, that
mhm,
special effects feel. So you dress it up like that. Again, we build the arena. Now we're setting a stage and an environment with backstories, the storyline, um, where everybody can get involved, and that's how we kind of tap into the bigger demographic
yeah,
because the
yeah,
fight part of the show is actually a smaller portion of it.
mm,
The show will open up with a mini season, which will be 6 to 7 episodes. It'll be a fictitious storyline about how four lords from across the world are basically four MMA mogul enthusiasts
yeah,
uh, are just tired of watching two guys fight in a cage.
mm,
They want something different, and from visiting the underground fights in Thailand to in Japan and this and that, they come up with this show. It's House of Lords, and this is how the whole thing comes to fruition. And by the end of the show, the four lords will go off and they will find their MMA guru, which will be an actual real life person. For example, Francis Ngannou's coach, Dewey Cooper, Amanda
yeah,
Nunes' coach, Roger Crawl. These are big, big names in the world of combat sports.
yeah,
So now we're intertwining actors as the lords with
yeah,
their MMA gurus, and that season will end with a combine, which will narrow down the fighters.
right,
So then we will go right into the tournament. The tournament will be 12 episodes filmed over 4 months
wow,
inside the arena every 2 weeks, and there are no ticket sales for season one. It's private invite only. And we do
mhm,
that for two reasons. But the first one is in Miami, we have this ridiculous Dubai lifestyle here, and it is like all about the speakeasy, the underground, this and
yeah,
that. So no ticket sales, but we dress it up like the Grammys. So it's 2,000 people. Every
wow,
event is black tie, red carpet, private invite to top 1 to 3% celebrities, athletes, prospect network people.
Yeah.
But the idea there is now you've got this event. You know, it's the hottest ticket in town, but you can't get a ticket. Nobody
Yeah.
even knows where the venue is, right? Because we're filming for TV, so it doesn't matter. You know,
Yeah.
if you're throwing events and you got to deal with ticket sales, you got to deal with the right venue, you got to deal with the right date, you got to deal with
Yeah.
location.
There's a
It's
lot of red
insane,
tape. Yeah.
especially down here in Miami because there's never a weekend where there's not 4 or 5 events going on. So
That is true, yeah.
now when you're dealing with MMA, like it's real important to have like you only have like especially pro MMA. If you're not the big boys and you have a TV deal, you got 2 revenue streams essentially. You got your ticket sales and you got your sponsorships. Well,
Mhm.
how many sponsors are you going to sell after you know a couple events where you only have 1,500 to 3,000 people max, right?
Yeah.
Without a TV deal, so it becomes very challenging. You have to pay the fighters; they're underpaid as it is, but so it becomes expensive to throw the events.
Mm.
Um, so we tie all that in together as the athletes compete on the show. They every time they compete, just like in an actual fight, there's a split purse. It's say it's 10,000, you get 10 to show, or say it's 10,000, you get 5 to show, and 5 if you win, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works over there. But the idea with the show is the same thing. Even if they're in the show, the gladiators they're competing. They're getting money as long as their wins. That money goes to the team,
Yeah.
which is matched by points. So it is like I said, I keep going back to the live game part because it's not, you know, it's not something that you see every day or you hear of.
No.
So
Mm.
um, we bundle all that up with some really nice tech. I come
Mm.
from IT. My first endeavor was an IT company back in Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
So with that, with the app, we've got 360 cam capability. We have instant replay. Um, you know, we look to tie in an AI Lord as one of the players in season 3. So that would be kind of man versus machine.
Yeah.
Um, and we're working now with some crazy analytics and Web3 tech, IP based, through
Yeah.
some of the people on our board. So
Wow.
we tackle quite a bit. But when a project like this goes, the revenue streams are incredible, right? Because now we're
Mm.
just not, you know, we just don't have the ticket sales. We have the ticket sales. We have the sponsorships. We have the TV deal. We have the everything that comes together to make us launch, all encapsulated in one, you know, one platform. And
Yeah.
you know, we focus on all of that simultaneously to get the launch goes. Once it goes, it goes. Everything goes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty of building something that's in high demand or that meets a demand in today's streaming market because the entry isn't the same as it used to be. You know, there's
Yeah.
multiple entries, there's multiple deals to be made. Matter of fact, you can it's the wild wild west. You can go in with any type of deal and ask what you want and you know lobby and it'll happen if you have the right product. So
Yeah.
that's the show in a nutshell. I'm sure I'm leaving out lots of you know little details here and there, but there's a video game involved. Um, you know, when things like this, like I said, it takes off you everything from the cartoon, the action figures, the amusement park, the theme park. We have incredible revenue streams with API, IP interfaced overlays for the video game side, where other companies can
Wow.
actually come in and buy the foundation from us to build their own version. So again, trying to be cutting edge tech,
Yeah.
but also leave it kind of raw with Mad Max, Game of Thrones
Yeah.
in today's marketplace. So it's a lot going on, but it all comes together pretty nicely at the end.
Yeah,
So that's
and
the
that's what I
show.
was yeah, that's what I was gonna touch on, the fact it feels very, you know, from yesteryear in terms of the gladiator style, but you're leveraging such intense technology. It feels like the perfect pair. It feels like kind of everything that, you know, that audiences are searching for, I guess. I wanted to ask you actually about the kind of the safety side, I guess. Obviously, there's a lot in MMA, as you know, around the health and safety of the fighters. Um, I've read online that there are no weight classes, and you've mentioned no weight classes. How do you ensure sort of some level of safety? Because I know the doubters and the haters out there are going to say that this is, you know, this is barbaric. This is the worst
Too
of
violent. Yeah.
violence.
So
How do you combat that and
really
those
good question.
naysayers?
So there's been a few things that we do. The first one, like I said, we're filming to make a movie, a TV
Mm,
series, right?
yeah.
We're not everything, every tournament, every fight that they do will be a exhibition style,
Mhm.
which means that we are not, they're not getting any credit for this fight in their pro fight career. And it's we do that because, again, we are not in the sporting industry. So if we're not in the sporting industry, we're not throwing a fight under the, FSP, if whatever the commission is, whatever the
Yeah.
boxing commission is, we're not following those rule sets. Now, if the commission gets involved, there's other forms of combat like pancration and things like that that allow us to have a little bit more rule sets or create our own rule sets, especially in an exhibition atmosphere.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about from a safety perspective, um, you look at what's happening out there with the bare knuckle, bare knuckle fighting. Jorge Masvidal has
Yes.
the bare knuckle MMA. Um, uh, um, what's his face? Mike Perry's got
Yeah.
dirty boxing. A lot of stuff is coming out, which is a little, not a little bit, but a lot more violent. So back
Yeah.
in my day when I was throwing events underneath the Florida State Boxing Commission, there's no way we could have got away with a bare knuckle event. Bare knuckle is pretty intense. I'm
Yeah.
a fan. I like it. I have a lot of respect for the promotions out there that are doing their thing and killing it. But I also know fighters of mine that have previously fought for me that have gone into an organization in a bare knuckle, and overnight their career is over. The damage
Oh,
is insane,
yeah.
right? So we didn't want to do the bare knuckle side of it, even though that's kind of like the gladiator style. So
Yeah.
we have an advanced glove that will look almost like a hand wrap that they used back
Oh,
in gladiator days, and that will cover there. So there's a glove, number one. Number two, they
nice.
won't compete in a pit. The pit will have an equestrian rubber based floor, as opposed to most cages and boxing rings, which is a very hard. So it has a little bit of give in it,
Yeah.
which will help for impact if any kind of slams, this and that. Now, when I say no weight classes, we don't have weight classes, but for season
Mm.
one, for example, it's 200 and above. So we're not going to have
Right.
a delta where it's like,
Yeah.
you've got a guy who's weighing in at 125 who's going to fight at 325, who could, it's
Yeah.
just that's too much, right? That's a
Yeah.
safety issue. There's not a lot of ways around it. However, even though if we're not dealing with the commission directly, we will have a sanctioned body. We will have because we've done this so much, we get it, right?
Yeah.
We want the doctor there. We want the EMTs there. Everything that we need to manage it. The other thing is our rule sets will be a little bit different. And remember, it is a game. So in that game, um, there are advantages and there are disadvantages card if it's played. If you don't accept the challenge for the gladiators, you leave it up to the high priestess. The high priestess will play a card. So that card could be if it goes to the ground, it could be only a 10-second rule, they stand them up. It could be no slams allowed. So
Yeah.
some of those will help with the safety barriers.
Yeah.
However, we don't want to emphasize and make it really about, too much violence. Okay,
Yeah.
so we will implement some different rule sets, and we'll navigate through the tournaments to minimize any type of
Mm.
issues like that. The main reason, excuse me, the main reason is not because I'm worried about the fighters. I'm worried about the fighters, but I'm not, because I know with the glove and I know with the thing and I know what we know what we're doing, we'll be fine. These guys know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the,
Mhm.
like you said, the haters and really trying to focus on a massive demographic,
Mm.
um, you know, uh, you know, that's one of our uphill battles, right?
Yeah.
We want to be a prime time show, but we also want to make sure that it's not too violent. But if you think about WWE, I get it, it's fake, but those guys are really flying all over the place, and
Yeah.
they're landing their head and their arms, and it's
Yeah.
some of the kids. Okay, maybe some of the kids get it, some of the kids don't get it if it's real or fake. But even if they don't get it, what do you think they're thinking? They're thinking straight violence, right? I
Yeah.
mean, these guys are slamming people, they're throwing people, they're tapping them out, whatever it is. Um, so I think there's a way to manage that. And when you really dress it up with the storylines, the game, what's going on, and there's so much happening between the game, the mini games in the app, from the betting
Yeah.
platform. The fighting side of it isn't really that big of a part of it, right? Like I said, we start with a six
Yeah.
to seven miniseries that goes over the whole, breaks down the show and how we come to fruition, and then it goes to the tournament. And the
Yeah.
superseding the following season will be the same, right? We'll kick off with a miniseries, 6 to 7, which will be a continuation of the storyline from season one, and we'll end with another tournament. Now that tournament could be, different type of rule sets or a different type of
Yeah.
layout, but that's the goal. The goal is to keep it fresh and exciting every season, to immediately focus on the video game side and the VR involvement, so people can actually get involved, play the game like a video game
Oh,
version, or they can play
yeah.
the real time version of it. And with the Web3 text and the analytics, everything is about data now, right? What kind
Yeah.
of data you can pull. For example, Morten Rungard, who sits on our board of directors, he sits on the Nordic Blockchain board of directors, but he's a Web3 tech guru that's already doing work for FIFA right now, where chips inside the soccer ball is getting data real time back to the production before it's even going to the television. So because they
Oh,
have a
wow.
30-second override in television due to
Yeah.
JFK's thing. So it's just it's about collecting data, and that data is so valuable because there's so many things you can do with
Mm.
it. So the cutting edge tech, the raw entertainment of combat, like back from the gladiators days. But we have 16 goddesses, we have 4 ladies of war. They're going to be larger than life. They're very much involved in the show as well. So again, there's plenty to get involved with and excited about and follow. And because of course the drama behind the scenes, be with the girls, the fighters,
Yeah.
um, and in between every time we meet in the arena, these gladiators will be training at some of the best camps in the world right here in South Florida, which we
Wow.
have several of the best camps, and they'll be training alongside, UFC world champions, this and that. So lots of good backstory to see there, and
Yeah.
kind of really emphasize the lifestyles of what's happening in Miami right now, which is just the buildings that are popping up, the money that's coming in here, yachting capital of the world. They're building, Austin Martin building, the Porsche building. It's insane what's happening
Wow.
down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pull your exotic car in the garage, and the elevator takes your exotic car up to your penthouse, and it's like
That's
yeah, like a
insane.
little, it's insane. So, but that's kind of what's happening down here. It's so
Yeah.
expensive to live, but everything is booming. Um, and it just kind of fits the perfect profile. Originally, we were designed to go find 4 kind of, for lack of better terms, rich assholes in Miami that just had, everything to their name and this and that, but would never fight or put their money where their mouth was. So the
Yeah.
idea was to give them a platform where they could put their money where their mouth was. You don't have to fight. We're going to give you fighters that are going to fight on your behalf.
Yeah.
So that was kind of received. That was received with open arms because that's kind of fun, right? You're thinking about it like, oh my god, I got my own gladiators, I got millions on the line,
Yeah.
the whole world's following me. So like I said, feedback's been great. 4 years development. Year and a half ago, we were nominated in Italy at the Monaco Film Festival in Monaco against Avatar
Oh,
2
wow.
for an innovation award. We didn't win, but that's okay. It was, you talk
Yeah,
about
but the
Avatar,
fact
you
that
talk
you
about
were on the bill with,
yeah,
Avatar
James
2, that's
Cameron and all them.
insane.
I was a guest speaker there. I spoke on at the time we had an NFT play and earn platform. So we've integrated some of that into the new project as well. But that was really what was great about going out to Italy. I flew out there immediately. I took an actress, and I found like the best special effects makeup artist I could from Sweden, flew her out there. And we'd actually, at that time, we were working with the Medusa. The
Yeah,
Medusa eventually switched to a high priestess, um, but the time we had made this Medusa, we were giving the
that's
clinic. It
insane.
was actually a really good, a really good event. And what I learned at that point was the international global market is insane, not only for
Mm,
content but for things like this. So we're very excited about the longevity, or not the longevity,
yeah,
but the ramp up that we're gonna, I think, experience here very soon.
yeah,
Uh, and that's why we've been, through my tenure with MMA and the fighters,
yeah,
Mike Davis, several of my fighters are on millions. And so we thought about, okay, well, as we start now getting the word out, let's do let's go ahead and start doing some of the interviews. Let's bring in some of our fighter talent. Let's bring in some of the people that sit on our board of directors, and
yeah,
now we can start creating some content. So this platform is a good platform for us to do the podcast on. So we'll start with that, not necessarily to kind of compete in the podcast market because there's a million
yeah.
podcasts out there. I just want to go on Joe Rogan's like podcast, but
I think he'd
um,
love you. I
everybody
think
wants to
he'd
go on
love
Rogan.
this.
If I could just, can you call him for me? Because I lost his number.
I
But
sorry, I also lost his number. I can't seem to remember where
it's
I
such a
put it.
hard number to remember.
Yeah.
But so the point is, but it's informational purposes, right?
Yeah,
We want to introduce the people behind here because it's not just me trying to be a master of all. I brought in one of the
yeah,
best people I could find in the world on Web3 tech. I brought in one of the biggest gaming names in gaming from the history of gaming with Tom Disenberry, with Frogger, Monopoly, owning the rights to F1 and NASCAR.
that's
So we
insane.
also have, yeah, so we're bringing in the specialists, the trainers of the athletes. We're bringing in the best trainers we can find in the world. So everybody, is an elite. They have a history, they have a storyline, um, but you're bringing in all of the top in those spaces to really put together a win-win solution.
Yeah.
Just to hit on multiple platforms.
That is insane. I really when, this first got booked, I was thinking, what is this? Like, I was so intrigued, and so I love that you're sort of doing this almost press tour, I guess, to get
Yeah.
the name out
No,
there
I was
because
looking for it because I called, what's his name, the other day, Jose, and I was like, "All
yeah,
right, we're gonna do this. We need to do a couple, podcast," and then literally, I think it was the same day I got a notice about, "Hey, you want to be on an interview?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got to be on as many interviews as I can right now." So,
yeah.
um, no, and that's why I asked you, "What is the interview about? Is this for me talking, or is this like an interview thing for something?"
Yeah.
But
This is all
so
about you and House of Lords, and
no, and that's awesome. And happy to do that. So I
yeah.
appreciate the opportunity for that as well.
No, I mean,
So
thank you for talking to me. I think it it's all the things that I think we've loved in, like you say, film and television that sort of takes us back to our sort of, ancestral roots of just sort of, brute force, and but also that level of theatre that you don't get anymore. Being from London, that sort of that grotty theatre feeling has kind of gone. It's all very dressed up very well, and it is very red carpet. But then ultimately, in the Globe Theatre, the Shakespearean theatre, that used to be absolutely disgusting, but now it's so well renowned for, its heritage. But
right.
ultimately, you're taking us back to this really high level of entertainment, but equally, these gladiators, and I honestly cannot wait. This is insane. I'm so intrigued.
Oh, thank you so much. That's kind of the feedback we've been getting. So we've been, like I said, it's been a long 4 years trying to,
Yeah,
get the people together, refine it. You try to design a game. It's not easy. You have to play it first and then it doesn't
yeah.
work. So you're like, well, how's that going to work? So like the gaming side of it was a lot of storyboarding, trying to fix. I don't develop games. I'm not a gamer.
Yeah,
Um, But, like I said, so everything that we feel that we're in a very good position now. I think the marketplace is ready for this type of thing. Gladiator 2 just came out. Um, and these type of shows are starting to create awareness. So, yeah, it's launch time for us. We met
yeah,
with the Miami film commissioner just last week, working with some great production companies. And you'll see we have a new trailer and teaser coming out. So I'll upload
yeah, I
that to my
saw, yeah.
platform here. But yeah, so that's the project in whole. And right now, if people are actually watching this or end up watching it, this is a big project. When a big project takes place like this, and we did solidify this past week on the company that will be providing the shipping containers and building the arena. But we're going to be doing that in 4 months. So that
Cool.
4 months, yeah. So that four, now we'll be indoors like a movie set, but we'll be put. It's
Yeah,
still a lot, but the idea is we want to be up and filming this year, 4 month run on that. But with that, once it's go time, it's go, which means
yeah.
there's a lot of opportunity for people to be on the show or be involved behind the scenes or just from a networking perspective. So
Mm,
please reach out if you want to know more, get involved. Now's the time. Because in another year or so, I think we'll be established to the point where, people turn around and they're like, oh, I wish I could have got involved from the ground up.
yeah.
And it's just not the same when you're doing something like we're doing, based off of what history's told us has been successful, based off of demand that is massive. Um, it's not the same level of um, I'm sorry, it's not the same liability or risk
Mm,
as if you're embedding $150 million into producing a movie and you hope it's going to do well. So for
yeah,
a very fraction of that, we'll be able to launch self run ourselves produce and maintain our IP, which allows us to control.
yeah.
Um, so with all that said, I mean that's everything in a nutshell. So I don't know if I can answer some questions, but I'm sure I've left details out because it's a lot. But
Yeah.
I talk fast too, but I appreciate you listening and asking the right questions.
No, absolutely. I mean, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you, talking to me. I will say, don't forget my number. When
Okay.
when this blows up.
Okay.
No, I guess really, I was going to ask you about the kind of what's the roadmap for actually, this hitting
So
screens and arriving in audiences' laps, because I think, yeah, as you say, the time is sort of now. It feels as if all the puzzle pieces are coming together where there is the demand for this entertainment, this level of entertainment and gamification, as you said. So yeah, obviously you said the sort of the 4 months and the 6 months. It, have you got a date in mind for when we could expect to see
We
it on
don't.
TV?
That's going to be the date. We're not set to ready when we're going to launch the date.
Mm.
The In the world of television, really one of the main cardinal rules is you need to own your IP.
Yeah.
And the way that streaming market is kind of set up right now, it's you have showrunners or people that bring an idea, a concept, a trailer. If it's great and they like it, they might buy it, give you a percentage above production cost, but they own the IP, they own the product. In order to do that, you kind of have to flip the tables. You have to self-fund it, or you have to be something that's already popular. Then you can go back and switch the table and be like, okay, this is what I want per episode, or this is what we want. So
Mhm.
the latter is what we have to focus on. Because of that, we're self-funding, we're self-running, and we have had our initial talks with Netflix, Paramount, Roku.
Wow.
Um, all have been, super interested in the concept. Matter of fact, Netflix is the one that came back and was like, "This is so cool, but it's so convoluted. Like, why don't you create a mini series that ties it all together and explains it all?" And that's how that came to fruition. So,
Yeah.
um, conceptually, everything that we've done in the past this year, everything's just kind of coming boom, boom, boom. So I would say my goal is to be filming, and when I say filming, we'll film almost simulcast with season one, which we'll do in
Mm.
a studio. We can do that on an LED wall or media wall. Um, but the tournament we have to film itself, so we could
Yeah.
start with season one, doing all the filming and that while the arena is being built, and move right into the tournament. So
Yeah.
ideally, going live. The first season we giving away for free. Now, do we
Oh,
just do
amazing.
100% free, 100% free for the guest? Now, the idea there is, you know, if one of the major platforms wants to take us at that point and the numbers are right, fine. If not, do we want to build our own platform? Kind of like a BKFC model where a lot of companies out there are just, BKFC's too. For example, BKFC is doing great, and I have a lot of respect for the owners, David Feldman, Conor McGregor, and all that crew. Mike Perry's used to be one of my fighters, good friend, great, great, great guy. But what they're doing is fantastic. But they've built that model off of their own streaming platform because they're never going to get a TV deal being that violent. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to do that. We're in that area. We have one or other. We have, two different versions of our business plan if we decide to go that route or not. And a lot of that, and I say all that long-winded because that's going to dictate exactly when we can actually go air live
Yeah.
with it. But my goal is to be running live by the end of the year,
Wow.
this year. So it really boils down to partner acquisitions that we're in the middle of right now,
Mm.
um, and just getting the green light. I think one of the things we'll need to solidify too is our location in Miami, just because every city in Miami has different parameters and things that we're going to have to abide by for the arena and,
Yeah.
like you said, safety and all that. But we've got, I think we're pretty well covered on all facets. Like I said, we have
Yeah.
about a 65-page business plan, breaks down all the analytics and every detail. So it's been through some of the biggest names in the industry as far as review when we were at the Monaco Film Festival. So there's nothing in there that's been disputed, nothing that's anyone's come back and said this isn't going to work because of A, B, and C. If we've got that feedback earlier over the development stage over the past 4 years, we've taken it to the table, we've discussed it, and we've negated it, right? We've tried to figure out a way
Mm.
to not run into those issues. So what we're looking at is a self-funded package right now that makes sense, which history's told us is going to be successful, that we're going to control, at least from an IP perspective, um, which at the end of the day makes it a win-win-win with a lot of incredible revenue streams.
Wow. Yeah, this is incredible, and I cannot wait to see what comes of this. I think everything you've said, every element of it is so exciting, and I think I just think you're
Thank you.
meeting where everyone is at the moment. It's that need for, like you say, all the shows you mentioned that people love. Like this is incredible, and I truly cannot wait to see this come out. I did also, obviously, I'm on the other side of the Atlantic to you. Is this something that is at the moment for just sort of US audiences, or are you hoping it's sort of worldwide release? Because you've got me so excited now. I have to
So
watch it.
So Martin Rungard and half of my executive board of directors is based out of the UK and Europe, and all over your
Yeah,
area. And when we went to the Monaco Film Festival, that's what I was telling you, that the
yeah,
global market's incredible. So
amazing.
no, absolutely not just for the US. The idea is to start here in Miami, and immediately after season one, um, that's why I talk about, having all the right people in place because
Yeah,
of the different from the video game to the betting side. We need all of that running simultaneously, and that includes the global expansion on that marketplace. We've got some great connections over there. What's really cool about that as well is, I met a couple guys over there at the film festival, and what they do is they go out and they lease like coliseums and old forts and
oh my god,
historical things. So we thought that would be a cool twist for the European
yeah,
intro. We've also working with an NFL group that's doing a casino build with an arena in Dubai right now. So those things
wow,
are all on the forecast, for the next couple of years. But yes, global expansion almost immediately. Again, first we need to get first season there. Content's
yeah, of
created,
course,
it's developed, right people are in place. I think at that point, it'll be a viral expansion for us.
yeah,
So, there's no reason to, go one step at a time and go small. We know we follow a very similar model, almost identical to the UFC, and
mhm,
their long tenure of getting to where they are today, and their mad success, and now partnered with WWE, right? They're worth, I don't know,
yeah,
12, 13, 14 billion or something.
yeah, something
Um,
crazy,
yeah, so it goes up fast. Our goal is to hit 1 billion within 5 years. That's a
incredible,
conservative model, but that's because, you talk about multiple revenue streams. That's what you need,
mm,
right? You think about the most successful movie in history financially was Avatar. It made $2.9 billion over the course of over the global marketplace.
yeah,
That's just the movie side of it. We have that, but you think about the gaming, all these other things; those are
yeah,
all revenue streams. In the betting platform alone, another almost $1 trillion industry that 10 years ago was frowned upon.
yeah,
We actually we did in the initial stages of this show, we didn't want any betting because we were worried the networks were going to be like anti-betting. We don't want it, but now
yeah,
betting's become everywhere, and it's become very received with open arms.
yeah,
So that again, $1 trillion revenue stream, the gaming side of it, and the content side of it. So we do all that. Everything answers to a holding company. Uh, yeah, so that's it. So we're ready to go.
that is incredible. Well, I won't take up any more of your time, but
No,
honestly,
no worries. I
if you
appreciate it.
if you need me for the European stint of the show, you know where I am, you know where to find me. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Paris. I think this is going to be incredible. And
Oh,
I'm
thank you so
actually
much.
I'm really honoured to have had this time with you because I just think this is amazing and I feel like I'm going to be able to say, yeah, I spoke to him before it was cool. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
I'm really honoured to have had you on today, and I'm so grateful. Maybe we can reconnect in a few months, and I can
Yeah, that would
see
be
see
great.
where we're at. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. I'm super grateful.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate it. All right. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Take care.